Don't ever let somebody tell you can't do something. You got a dream. You gotta protect it. You want something, go get it. Period.
What's up, guys? Jay Bandy here with the For Love Podcast, episode 32. I'm here with my boy Emilio. Emilio, what's up? What's going on? How you been?
I'm good, brother. How have you been?
Lots of shit, man. It's been about 10 years since we probably seen each other. I think I met you probably over 10 years ago, no?
Yeah, because we were hanging out with Matt Franco. I think you were hanging out with Matt Franco. I don't know if you still are because he's up there, and I was also. And he and I still talk. But yeah, that was at least, I think, because I joined the military at 18, and I got him to join right around that time, and that 30. So that was like 12 years ago.
Yeah. So about 12 years ago, that is how we met through mutual people, and so that was about 12 years ago. I remember you were in the Air Force at the time. Were you just starting then, or how long were you in when I met you?
Yeah, no, I think I'd been in for a year maybe or two.
Yeah.
I think I just got done with my training, my boot camp and all that stuff, about a year.
Yeah.
I did 6 years, deployed once, spent like 6-7 months in the Middle East, and then came back, went to school, and then I got out in 2014.
Okay. So you grew up in Connecticut.
I moved back and forth between Florida and Connecticut, so that's kind of why I'm always there or here.
Yeah.
So I'd move like every year or two. 6th grade here, 7th grade there, 8th grade here, back and forth.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of similar. I mean, I was born in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, then went to Michigan, then came here. And so now for you, like, were you born here or you were born down there?
I was born here in Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale too.
Okay, so you're a Florida boy too. Now you tell me this. I don't know if it's just me, dude. Being born in Florida and living in Connecticut, I don't know if it's like a warm-blooded thing. Do you hate winter just as much as I hate winter?
No, it's funny, man. I'm the virtual opposite. I love winter. I miss it.
That's ironic.
I have a successful business, and I want to go back.
Yeah, I almost feel like when you're away from it, maybe it's what brings you back to it or whatever. But I don't know. It's almost like I'm warm-blooded. Like my blood hates cold, bro.
Yeah, man. No, I remember when last time I was living there, I used to spend the winter walking around in shorts and t-shirts. I wouldn't even
really?
I would wear pants maybe twice in the winter. Even though it sucked, I'd force myself to do it just to kind of instill discipline or whatever. But I didn't mind it. I like the winter.
Yeah. Well, you're down there now. Where exactly in Florida are you at now? Still.
I live in a city called Boynton Beach.
Okay. Yeah.
But my business is in Deerfield Beach, right next between like Boca and Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Yeah. I got buddies in Boca. I was born in Fort Lauderdale. I got buddies in down in Miami, Tampa, spread out throughout there. And my plan is to hopefully one day go back down there. I do. Whenever I go down there, it just feels right, especially financially. So let's kind of get into it. I mean, you did your school. Did you go to high school up here?
I did my last semester of senior year up there.
Yeah.
I went to Amity. I graduated Amity.
Gotcha. Okay. So now I remember you telling me you end up going to school. When you decide to go to school,
mm-hmm.
What is it that you end up going for? And, you end up telling me that you end up not finishing, which is kind of ironic because I feel a lot of people end up doing that. And it puts them in positions where now they're paying for these things and they never get what they're actually paying for. Now they got to figure all these things out. And part of what this show is about is really letting people understand that, life is filled with hardships. It's filled with things that you're not going to expect and things going ways that you don't expect it to go, and how to pick yourself up and really succeed and get yourself to where you want to be in life, regardless of that happening. So you graduate, you decide you're going to go to college. What do you end up trying to study when you go there?
So I went in. I think the first couple of times I went to school, it was just like general studies. Just let me just get some prereqs out of the way. Ended up deciding on finance, and then like 3/4 of the way through, I switched over to international business with like a focus in finance, because finance really for me missed the whole like human element of business, which was how I was raised. I was raised in small business, which is you need people. You don't just look at numbers, you look at people, and every transaction, every interaction, every experience matters. So I didn't miss that. The finance was just running formulas all day, which computers do faster than we do anyway. So I switched to IB, and then I went to school for like 8 or 9 years on and off. Kind of always took like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then finally in 2016, I left the last time, and I was like a semester and a half away from finishing at Quinnipiac up in Connecticut. And I left to come down here to start a business. I was always back in between the two, struggling between like, hey, I want to make money. Everything I do, I'm good at. It's everything I put my time into, I'm successful with.
Yeah.
So I took a bigger chance and left school and moved for a bigger thing, and then that failed. So that's kind of how I.
Now, when you did that and you left, like, what was the business that you were now? Because this is a big decision. This is something where you're leaving what you thought was going to be, your future and what you were going to ride your life out on to go do something else. And now, was that a passion move? Was that a business move? What type of feeling and decision making was going on there?
I think a little bit of both, man. I came down to start a business with my best friend's dad, who's been a general contractor here for like 30 years, very successful. And he's always wanted to do stuff with me, when Bitcoin, like, man, let's say like maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, he wanted to get Bitcoin ATMs with me and stuff. And I was always like, yeah, let's do it, find what you want. And he believes in my process, and he has the money to back it up.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming down here on vacation. We had a meeting, and there's a you can classify a business as 8A. It's a federal government classification where you can, because the government has to give a certain percentage of federal contracts to small businesses, and they have to be 8A businesses. So then you only compete in these contracts against other 8A businesses. So to qualify as one, you have to have like a certain net worth, you have to be a minority, this and that, you have to check all these boxes. So I personally check off all these boxes. So my plan was to come down here with him, set up a construction business that I was the 51% owner of, to get federal contracts and use my status as a veteran to get, contracts on military bases, buildings, stuff like that, subbing out the work. And it could be it could be $100 million business very easily. So it was a passion thing, because I love construction. I love that family. I'm from Florida, kind of. So I was like, all right, let's make the move. If these people are experienced. So yeah, I left everything for that. Came down. My girlfriend at the time was not my wife, was pregnant with our first child. I left. I had student loans, and but what he wanted to do was he wanted me to start working for his company first, to learn his side of things, commercial construction.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a laborer, man. I was out there digging holes in the summer heat on the beach, and I had days that were thoroughly harder than any day I had in the military, my entire time, working for $600 a week. To learn the business. And then he had some health issues, and his son, my best friend, came back to the business. Two of his guys kind of screwed him over. It was a whole slew of things that kind of spiraled out of control for his business. And I was like, listen, you just can't do this right now. So then I was like, all right, now I got a little kid, a 2-month-old, and student loans and no income and no degree. I'm like, all right, what do I do? So thank God my dad has a very successful business, and I was able to go with him and work with him for last few years, build back up, save, invest, whatever. And, just find a solution, man. If he hadn't been here, I would have done whatever. You know what I mean? I would have Ubered, finished school, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's what I always said to myself, because I've had, my run-ins and stuff, and you never know what's going to happen. And, throughout my career, I had to always worry about losing my job, because people are always trying to take it from me. It's a profession that, is very uncertain, especially now. And I always had an idea that, my opinion is this, bro, work ethic is everything. It's everything. And I actually look at people and I say, if I look at them and I see that they have laziness, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is just a trait that is really, can really break down your whole entire life. And I look at somebody, I'm like, all right, if they're a hard worker, then the majority of the time, they're going to be a hard worker at everything.
Yeah.
So I always, even though there's always that uncertainty and that worry, like, how are you going to get shit done? If you have a hard work ethic, like that was the same thing with me, dude. I don't care. I will do anything to make it there. I don't care. It's all about sacrifice. And I look at it and say, you could take a year of your life and sacrifice that year of your life and really progress it and never have to look back if you do it properly. But people don't want to take that time. They don't want to sit back. They don't want to. We live in a generation where everybody's so fast paced. They want everything so fast and quick. So you had to go through all that. You had to kind of make a decision to leave school. You go down there, the business fails. Now you're working with your dad. Where's your mind at this point?
At that point, my mind was kind of like, maybe I'm where I should have been the whole time. That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, things were going good. When I started with him, I wasn't making any money either. I was making, I mean, I was getting paid as a server making, I have a spreadsheet from every single day I worked. I tracked all my finances, right? I have a finance background. So I'm looking at my numbers. And if you go back to that, like I had days for the first like 6 months where I made $0 in tips, $11 in tips. I'm living off of fucking $10 trying to feed a family and student loans and all the other shit. You know what I mean? So, but with that being said, there was incremental, tangible growth that I was a part of that I really spearheaded. So I was, okay, I'm good at this too. So maybe this is where I was supposed to be, I started making a lot of money with that. I grew that program from no liquor license I was there to over $1 million a year in cocktail program sales that I was responsible for, and I built that with relationships with everything.
Yeah.
So I thought that's kind of like where I was supposed to be. It's his business. I'm the only son. I got two sisters, but they're not in that field. I was okay, maybe I'm going to take this over and grow it as a brand. In June 1st I left. Coronavirus I think was good in the sense that it made everyone refocus on things. You know what I mean? So however you feel about it, or however it's affected you, whatever, it's forced change. And I like change because change makes you reassess.
That's the truth right there, man. I mean, this year has been crazy, and I think about it even for me, dude. 2020 has brought huge changes for me. I've retired. I found a female that I'm deeply in love with that will more than likely be that one. And it's ironic because things that you search for your whole life will come at the most unexpected times and sometimes in the most uncertain times. And that's what 2020 has kind of been. I look at it, I'm like, damn, 2020 has been really kind of weird, uncertain. And in the most uncertain time, I found the most certain things in my life. And you're absolutely right about that, man. It's been a wild ride, but forced change is necessary for certain people. You know what I mean?
It's good for everyone, but I mean, like, when things in life happen, good or bad, I think it's all perspective and how you handle it. We can't, good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. It's life. So but the only thing you can do is, the only thing you can control is what you can control is your reaction.
Right.
That's my take on it. So, for me, 2020, I feel it's been great, and you could look at it, if you're like a glass half empty kind of person, you could look at some aspects of my situation 2020 and say, man, tough, that's a tough break. You know what I mean? I left my very secure 6-figure income, gonna own the business, to go back to paying myself less than $600 a week. For like 3 months, I didn't pay myself at all. I was living off of investments and savings, to focus 100% on my business that I had bought a year ago.
Yeah, let's get into that now. Not to interrupt, but your dad's business was what? Was that restaurant type stuff?
Yeah, it's a Mexican restaurant.
Okay, so you're doing that. You're learning. You're obviously learning the business more and more as you go. You build this up. What makes you decide you want to leave that and start your own thing and not stay in that and build that more?
So it's kind of too long a story to say the whole thing for the podcast. But basically, I knew, my dad is a certain type. We all have our issues. You know what I mean? We all have our downfalls. And my dad's not very good at keeping his word or being a very honest person. So, I asked to buy equity in the company. I asked to buy 2%. Okay. I just wanted something just as a something more symbolic than anything.
Right.
I was willing to pay market value price for it, not discounted, offered exchange. So anyway, and he said no. Don't worry. It's going to be yours someday. It's going to be yours. Don't worry. And I need to worry because I have kids and I have a family to protect. So I do work, especially when I'm doing 100 hours a week, getting paid for 30. I make a lot of money behind the bar, so that's why I made that much money. So I bought another business about 14 months ago to protect myself, protect my downside. It was a hedging move, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the opportunity came out to buy the business, and it's 5 doors down from my dad's restaurant to the same plaza. So when that came up, the price was right. I couldn't deny the price on that thing. It wasn't profitable. There was a lot of things to fix, but I could see it. I had the vision. I saw, okay, this is what I need to do. And and I'll turn this thing around, and I'll have another asset working for me while I continue to work for my dad. Hopefully, he doesn't do what I think he's going to do, and I'll have both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then things went the way they went, and thankfully I had the foresight to protect myself and my family.
Now, it's funny you say that because, like, obviously working with family and friends and things like that and getting into those business relationships can always be an issue. And I think you're definitely, not doing anything wrong by wanting to protect yourself and have some type of future in what you're putting the effort into. So, you wanted some equity, some type of ownership into a company that you're building. And let's be realistic. I mean, we're not getting any younger. We need to have some type of future retirement type deal, something to hold on to. And that was a big thing for me too. I need to get that pension. That's huge. So for you, you just really
apply for every day. You know what I mean? Out in the streets, if you're not going to have something on the end of that
what are you really working for?
It's crazy. And in the restaurant business, bro, especially small business, there are no benefits. There's no retirement plan. There's no paid, even as the owner's son, I don't have a paid day off. I don't work, I don't get paid. And nothing besides go to work, get paid well. Okay.
How did he feel when you bought this restaurant 5 doors down? I mean, he had to be pissed at you,
Well, totally different. Like I'm a cafe and he's a nighttime restaurant.
Oh, so it's 2 different things.
We're totally different. So they don't compete at all. But in fact, the only thing they can do is help each other. But again, if you have that right perspective, right? He could have used me as an asset. We could have used each other as an asset to build each other's businesses.
I mean, if you're 5 doors down and they know it, like, think of it like this: if customers, I go to a breakfast spot every morning, bro, and I go there because I like the people, I like the atmosphere. I've met a lot of good people there, and if you know that those people have another business a couple doors down or something like that, you might be like, oh shit, I'm gonna go there for dinner. I'm gonna venture off to there more often, and that's where like it really connects. So he didn't see the big picture there.
He knew that would happen, which it did, right? We were able to cross promote, but he felt threatened. My dad felt very threatened. He's been the only one on his side of the family to give you, like, to be fair, right? He's been the only one on his side of the family that's ever been remotely successful, and he's pretty successful, right? And he came here with nothing, from nothing, made it, American dream, right? Immigrated here, the whole thing. To be fair, right? The guy's not the worst person in the world, but he has his flaws that affected he and I personally. So with that being said, he's built up a pretty big ego that the entire family is dependent on. So everyone works for him. My aunt's 13-year-old kids, my sister, everyone depends on him for their lifestyle, their South Florida luxury, buying Louis Vuitton purses lifestyle. So he felt threatened that, the only one that was able to do it without him, that's going to go out and do it, whatever it takes. I wasn't dependent on him. I wanted to be a partner with him.
Yeah.
I like what he did, you know what I mean? But I needed to be a partner. That's my investment. That's what I need you to invest in me in return. I didn't ask for it for free. I offered to buy it. And it was met with stiff resistance and a stern talking to by his wife. And like, all right. So
do you think that like, as coming from a business standpoint, and obviously this is a family thing involved in it, do you think that his personality is really kind of holding back the progression of the company in a manner of, like, say you had this equity in it, now whatever, obviously you're going to put a lot more, not that you weren't already, but you're going to really put your effort into this and want this thing to flourish as much as possible. And he's a man who, let's be realistic, is probably getting a little bit older. How much longer do you really want to work your whole life? It seems like it would be the ideal scenario for your son to take this over. Just kind of ironic how someone wouldn't want that scenario.
I mean, he says he does, and I think he did, right? But he wanted me to wait until he decided that it was my time, right?
Yeah.
And be like, well, whenever I say, then it's good.
Yeah.
So after putting in 4 years full time and seeing what I've done, I'm not even asking for it for free. I'm asking for something symbolic. He could have said, I can't do 2%. I'll let you buy 1%. Fine, right? I mean, we're his business. We can negotiate. But something, again, to protect my downside.
And that's not even that much. That's not that much. I mean, 2% is really nothing, no?
Nothing. If my business, right now, if somebody were here that was full time, working 100 hours a week, that I didn't have to pay for 100 hours a week, that they were just helping us grow, right? They wanted to buy 2%, the answer would be yes.
Oh God, yeah.
And especially my daughters, you can have 50, keep it. I love you. You know what I mean? I think it's that simple. You know, and now, so like growing up, we always had this issue, but it was always from like the perspective of me as a child to him as a father. Now, as a father of 2 kids, I can tell you it's still the same. I would never treat my kids like that.
Yes.
So,
I think there's probably a control issue there, no?
yeah, it's ego, man. I don't have an ego. The only thing I want is to see my kids flourish. So much.
Yeah, that's really what happens in life, I think, is a lot of people, especially when they get into situations like that, and I've seen it with parents and stuff like that. It's ironic, dude, because my mother was a business owner as well, and I think a lot of business owners struggle with that personality trait of control because they're in control. You know what I mean? They're controlling everything. And now, if you are a successful business owner, that can bring that ego now accompanied with the control, which could kind of be a downfall. And in reality, I think that everybody kind of, bounces around from having those traits here and there, but it can't be your main trait. You know what I mean? You have to look at it and say, I saw this a lot in my profession too. Leadership is a big problem in this world. And if you're a leader and you have the ability to make things better and you have that power and you're at the top, and there's people below you, your job is to make their lives better and not necessarily control their lives. And that's what I've seen happening a lot in employment, especially in government employment. And you've been in the military. I'm sure you've seen a lot of leaders, shitty leaders out there. And it's ironic because, people don't really think about that. They think that these people are in positions of power and they're so prestigious because of that. And they don't really understand that a lot of these people are really kind of abusing that power.
Yeah, it happens disgustingly too much. You know what I mean? It's crazy like that. Can you imagine how much better, we'll go as big as the world, but small businesses, medium-sized businesses, governmental agencies, municipalities, police departments, fire departments, they would be with the right leadership, right? And to be fair, a lot do, right? And then you see those departments flourish. You see their people well, and you see that their communities, and it goes down, and like shit falls downhill, right? Like you see their communities act better, crime rates go down. You see proper leadership will have a lasting effect on everything that they touch and all the stakeholders in that process.
Absolutely.
I
think what happens, dude, is that with this leadership, like you were saying, you got to really, to be a proper leader, you got to be somewhat selfless. And we're coming across a lot of selfishness, especially in this generation, in this time period. And that selflessness, it's kind of ironic. And I've learned a lot as I've gotten older and gone through a lot of shit, is that really caring about other people and wanting other people and putting your wants and needs second to that to a certain extent. I'll never tell people to put their wants and needs fully gone. But
yeah, of course.
To be selflessness really brings a lot of happiness. It will really bring what you need in life when you're starting to give it to other people and see that what you are providing for others ends up coming back to you. And I don't think people really understand this, and that's how it works.
It's kind of like investing, right? If you or like you said, putting in that hard work first, that's sweat equity. And that if that person's mentality is not there on all fronts, I don't think they can see that. They feel like it's giving away, where it's like, oh, I can't do that for somebody. I got to worry about me, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm worried about me. I'm working, I'm grinding. I just worked 4 months without one day off, not one day off, every single day. And I'm doing that because I want to be financially stable again, and we will continue to be more and more, right? Give more to my kids and stuff like that. But we also continue to donate, we continue to give back, but it's like you have to believe in that, right? And you have to understand that that's truth. And it's hard. It's hard to convince people that. It's hard to convince people to not go out and buy a pair of Jordans instead of buying 2 shares of Apple. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you talk about that because I'm pretty deep and heavy into stocks now that I retired. And, I always had like my little thing on the side and had somebody else kind of doing it. But now that Robinhood thing is out and a lot of people messing with that. And, I got one myself, and I will say it's addicting. The stock market is addicting. It's manipulative. You got politics all playing in part and this and that, but you can make some big money out there.
Like I studied that, and the only thing I can tell you that I do is I just keep buying.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
I just buy. Because trying to play the market, you can make money, but you gotta like pretty much do it full time. It's hard to play the market part time.
It is. And that's what I look at, because now that's funny, because I'd love to maybe one day do an actual episode about just specifically the market and things like that, and how to really grow and stuff. So maybe we'll get together for that, since you have a background in that. But it's funny because now that I have that time, I always said I put a lot of effort into my career, and I worked around the clock, 100-hour weeks. You know what I mean? That job's very demanding and stressful, and on top of all the other shit I had to deal with. But with that being said, now that I'm out of it and I have the pension, I said to myself, now it's time to live life how I want to live my life. I'm not going to waste any time, because I think wasting time is the biggest problem for people. And then I started saying, okay, how can I get to that next aspect in my life to where I want to be and how I want to live and how I want my future and all that. So I started looking into the things that I really wanted to do in my life that I couldn't really do because I was putting so much time and effort into, the career and getting to this point. And that's something that people don't understand, is you have to sacrifice a lot to get to where you want to be. I'm 35 right now. I'm in a great position, but it wasn't easy. And everybody wants it to be easy.
Yeah, no.
And that's what you're saying is
a lot, man.
Yeah, that same thing for anybody. And that's why, what really brought this whole podcast about is me understanding what I was going through, understanding why I had to deal with it, what I had to do, and then understanding there's a lot of people out there that I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that's going through shit that wants more out of their life, that has to deal with bullshit to get there. That's almost everybody. If you want to be successful in this life, you have to really push past these bullshit obstacles. But most people don't want that. They think this world is just, everything's going to fall into their lap, and they're going to be presented with opportunities. You have to go find those opportunities in your life.
That'd be nice, right?
It'd be great, dude. And that's what I see. Listen, I talk to a lot of people, and since I've been putting myself out there and putting my personality out there, and I had to do that because, when you are in a position like myself where you're working a job where you really have no say, you were in the military, let's be realistic. If something happened and it involved you, do you ever really get to go out and talk about the reality of it, your opinion of it? No, you have bosses that are talking for you. And so you never really get to really tell anybody the true story. And eventually I will be able to do that on here once I tie everything up. But I said, I'm going to show everybody my real personality. If other people want to try to tell people who I am, I'm going to show people who I am. And you can't be afraid to do that in life. And, all these obstacles will make you stronger. For you, I mean, you had to go through really losing a lot, not losing that mentality of understanding where hard work is going to bring you. When all this shit went down with Corona and you had these companies and these businesses with obviously food and all the restrictions, how did that really work with you? I mean, are you still dealing with that now?
I mean, yeah, we still deal with it, but so I shut down. So when this all came about, I was still at my dad's place. So I shut down my cafe for like almost 2 months to focus on my dad's place. Mm-hmm. I always focused on that number one because that was where I made most of my money. So I focused on that. Everything went down. It went down bad, but I helped him get that PPP loan. I got him a lot of money for free with that loan. And I said all the paperwork. I used my finance background. I was able to use, so I mean, the whole school thing real quick, I didn't finish, I don't have a degree, but the skill sets I learned there, I 100% use all the time. And it does make me, it's helped make me better at everything I do.
You feel like you got your money? You feel like you got your money worth?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with school is how many people really feel like they've gotten their money's worth.
Oh yeah, especially, I mean, because I studied a skill set, you know what I mean? Not, it wasn't just theoretical, right? I'm able to use and utilize what I learned, on a daily basis.
Right.
And plus I continue educating, man. I still learn. I take courses. I just took a Damon John course. I just paid to do this thing. It was like a 2-week intensive. I take tea, because I sell a lot of tea and coffee. I take tea courses. Yep. I call my roaster and say, hey man, can I come study for the day? Let's watch you learn about roasting. Like I'm just constantly learning, right? And then people come to think all of a sudden that I'm an expert and they want me to mentor them. I'm like, dude, I'm just on a path of learning. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I don't know, which is a lot more. Um, but yeah, so Corona. So anyway, I do feel like I got my money's worth in school, but I think most people don't if you don't finish. It's a big gamble. Um, so yeah, I shut down and then I reopened. And when we reopened, man, I wasn't sure if we were going to make it. You know, I'm like, let's give it a couple months and let's see how it goes. Our first month out the gate that we reopened was our best month ever, and then we have grown about 10 to 15% every month since. And now I'm doing double what I used to do pre-coronavirus with reduced capacity, and I'm open less hours than I used to be. I used to be open 9 to 7. Now I'm open 10 to 5. So I'm
Wow.
open like 4 hours less a day, and I'm doing double my numbers before. And we're growing, and I still have room to grow. We're expanding actually. We're doubling the space and opening another one in Miami next
That's great. Now let me ask you this.
year. Crazy.
How does that happen where you lose business? And this is where the business mindset comes in and really having to buckle down and learn how to progress. But now the company shuts down, you guys are afraid that you might not even make it, and then it basically is better than ever. How does that happen? Is that really a business owner and you just buckling down and having to do the right things to keep it going? Or is that just people really just wanting to get out of the house and finally going and spending money?
You know, man. So the restaurant business has been very interesting with this. So I feel like I have a lot of friends that are restaurant owners, and their businesses right now are either flourishing like I am, or they're going out of business. So I've seen a couple of things. I've seen that the ones that are going out of business, they were kind of on the fence before. Regardless, they weren't very profitable, and you know this just killed them. The ones that are flourishing now come from had different varied backgrounds before coronavirus. You know, they were either doing really well or they were on the they were like kind of breaking even. Right, I was just breaking even before. I was barely making money. But you know, my circumstance allowed me to keep it going. And then how it comes into this is I think there's a multitude of things, but I think that regardless of where you were before coronavirus, the ones that are flourishing are doing well because people are aware of their health, or I think are becoming aware of their health and care what they consume, care about it, you know, not being, I don't go out there and advertise anything about being like non-GMO or anything, but I have a lot of organic food. I shop fresh every morning from the shop. That's part of our business model. We shop fresh every single day, 7 days a week. We're best friends with everybody at Trader Joe's. You know, we go to the grocery store and buy and pick our produce. So if you're having an avocado toast in my place, like we check the avocado, we check the tomatoes, we purchase the bread that day. Everything's fresh. And that I think that helped in my place helped contribute to people coming in a lot more. But really, what I focus on at my place is what's paramount to me is quality, and then the guest experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go anywhere, right, you look at anything, you look at all the reviews, you come in person and see what we do. Everything, not just the way we say it, but like what our actions are. We focus on creating memorable experiences.
Yeah.
So we build connections with people. It's genuine. I check in with people. I had a regular, he's a snowbird. He lives in Philly, older guy. He's like in his 80s. I called him like 2 months ago because I knew he was in Philly still. And I thought about him. So I went through my system and I found his phone number. I gave him a call, like, hey, Norman, just checking in on you. You know what I mean? I know you're up north. You know, he's part of the susceptible demographic to COVID. So I was like, I should check in. And he goes, oh my God, this is Emilio from the Modern Rose. You really called me just to check in? I'm like, yeah, man, I just want to, make sure you're all right. You know, and we look forward to seeing you when you get back down. And now he's back and he comes in again every day. So, we really go out, me personally, but also my team, they're great on kind of following my lead, really going out of our way to create experiences and connections with people.
Yeah.
So it's about people,
Atmosphere is huge. I mean, I say that all the time. Like, me and my girl, we try to bounce around and try different restaurants and breakfast spots that we haven't tried. It's something we like to do. And it's all about atmosphere, the service. The food can be great, but if those things aren't really all coincide together, then one can make or break it. You know what I mean?
For sure. I think you have to have everything, man. You have to have service, the right price point. I mean, the atmosphere is crazy. Like I tell my staff, they're always surprised when new people come on board because like I'm picky about everything. I want the windows clean. I spray my seats, like the fabric, with a certain spray every day. So there's a certain, when you walk in, it's the same familiar smell. So like it's the place is called the Modern Rose. Oh, there's a truck going by. So it's called the Modern Rose. So I spray all the seats with a rose spray, and then I pull a coffee. I pull a fresh espresso and pull a coffee shot. So when you walk in, it smells like rose and coffee. So every time, like I'm talking about, even with the smell, people walk in like, wow, it smells great in here, right? It smells great. The temperature is right. The music is at the right. The lighting is right for what the ambiance you're trying to create. The windows are clean. The bathroom's clean. Like all those tiny details that actually don't really make me money, right? They just cost time and labor and buying sprays and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But they create this sort of experience that is replicable.
How do you think you learned to do that? Was that, because here's my thing. I say this because, I have a business partner in my vape company and this and that, and he's a Yale guy and whatnot. And, we throw ideas back and forth, and we're rebranding the company now. So when we were doing like our new packaging and stuff like that, he's big into the marketing aspect, or like the structuring where, they do all these studies and stuff, and like he's got buddies that are in this business and stuff, and they look at it and they're like, even something down to the font that you're using on a product. Now, did you learn it? For me, it's like this, because I'm kind of OCD in a way where, my home is clean, like I'm a clean freak, I'm this and that. So that's just me personally.
Yeah.
But that also kind of leaks into my company to where you want perfection out of, everything that you're doing, and you want things to be nice and structured properly and clean. Was this what you're doing with your companies and your businesses, where with the spray, the atmosphere and stuff like that? Is that a mixture of your personality and your business smarts that you've learned along the way, or is it more one of the two?
Man, I don't know. I spent my whole life studying this, man. I've been in the restaurant business since I was 10 with my dad, and then I was a server, I was a bartender. When I was in Quinnipiac, while I was in the military, I was catering in the city, and I worked for people like, Bill Clinton and hedge fund owners and the New York Mets. Like I worked, very elite parties. So I've been exposed to this thing from like serving tacos for $2 to $20,000 dinners. You know what I mean? With like the richest guy in Connecticut, Ray Dalio. I worked for him personally in his house with him and 12, monks, and listening to 2 hours worth of spiritual talk. Right. So it's just like, it's been a lifetime of studying this. And I think part of it's my personality, just like I like being a sponge and just trying. But I think it's a big part of it is my approach. My approach is, I like the scientific method. I think about something, I'm like, I run through it in my head. I try to run through, like false positives in my head of, okay, this won't work because of this. And then when I think in my mind, okay, this might work, I try it and I just take a shot. Mm-hmm. The good thing is with me, they're all low risk, high reward. All my gambles, right, in the business, because I don't do that with things that could impact our core sales, our core demographic, our regulars. But with these little things, these incremental changes, incremental improvements, more likely, right? I do them all the time, all the time. I change or improve something like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So I try things, and then if it doesn't work, I completely remove my ego and say, okay, cool, let's go back to what worked. It's a scientific method with no ego.
Yeah.
And then I think it's rounded out with the fact that my businesses are my creative outlet. I don't paint, I don't sing. I love those things, right? I love art, I love music, but I can't do any of it. I can't dance, I can't do shit, right? But we all have a creative streak in us that we need to find an outlet with. This is my creative outlet. So,
That's funny you say that, because I look at it too, and like, I really want people to really learn more about themselves and learn about their creativity, which is why I do this. Because for me, I struggled between, being a police officer for, 14 years and then having to kind of put my creativity on the back burner because of that. And that's something that I struggled with, but learned, but never got away from it, because creativity to me is what brings happiness to my life.
Sure.
And when you can learn how to use your creativity to profit off of that is huge. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of people really realize that. And what I think is the most sad right now is not a lot of people understand what they're good at, what they're talented at. And they don't know how to utilize it. Even if they do figure that out, they don't know how to utilize it in a manner of being able to profit off of it and make it a career and income. And we're in a generation now where I tell people all the time, dude, I created my businesses, you know, on my phone while I was working, and I was in between calls, and I was, you know what I mean? Like, we have a time, a
There's no,
generation, bro, we have everything at our fingertips.
yeah.
To make money right now is not that hard if you really put in the time and the effort into doing it. And that's where, like, you know, we talk about the stocks and the trading and this and that, and it's like, you know, you can be, I, I'm just like you, dude. I want to learn everything. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm over the top with it, but it is what it is. And that's really what I think life is for me. Is I want to soak up all the knowledge I can about the things that I like.
Yeah.
And then I want to take that knowledge and I want to utilize it to make my life better and hopefully make other lives better. And that's just the goal for me. With you, seems like you kind of have the same personality. It's ironic because, dude, when I remember, like, just back in the day, like, specifically one conversation we had, dude, and this is how things like stick in my mind with certain people. And we don't talk every day. We haven't talked in a while, other than like here and there on social media and stuff. But I remember one day you were at bar with me, and I had that company that I was doing back in the day. It was like the original mix.
I remember that. Bro.
And
T-shirt.
yeah, that was one of my first, you know, companies that, and it's funny when you look back at that stuff and you're like, you know, those are the things that will build you up to this point if you never give up. Yeah. And I remember you saying to me, and like, we were just like getting into this and I was trying to build the social media and whatever. And you were telling me how, like, you know, you really liked it and that our social media looked really good and this and that and whatever. And I remember that conversation to this day, bro, vividly. And I don't remember a lot of shit, but I remember that because those things stick in my head because I'm like, all right, it was a different conversation than I was having with a lot of people at that time in life. You get what I'm saying? So meaning we were young, early 20s probably at that time, whatever, mid 20s. And how many people were really trying to do stuff like that?
Not many.
So that's why those conversations stick in my head because I always seen you kind of running around trying to do your thing and really progress your life in the business standpoint and whatever. And when we get into a conversation like that, it's stuck in my head because I didn't have many conversations with people like that at that point in time in life. Yeah. You know, a lot of people in their 20s are wasting their time by running around partying, drinking, and having, you know, fun, trying to get girls and guys or whatever they're doing. And just wasting time, bro. And I was not a component of wasting time. And now that I'm older, I realize how much time is important, and I don't waste a minute of it.
I tell people now, man, I'm like, listen, I don't care if you waste my money, don't waste my time. Yeah. I refuse to do it because I'll never get it back. You know what I mean? My time is like, I believed in that before, but I feel like my time is even more precious with kids now, like, because, you know, they're like babies and then all of a sudden they're toddlers and all of a sudden they're teenagers. And then they're out doing their own thing in life. And then all you have is memories. And it's the best thing I've ever done in my life is be a parent. So it's helped me in the sense that my time is even more valuable to me now. And I'm less giving about it, right? Like if I give you my time, please appreciate it. And like, you know what I mean? Like whatever I do, some simple stuff, man, right? Like some guy at the Apple store the other day wasted my time for 3 hours and it was a huge issue for me. I was furious. Because my order was ready. It said ready on my phone. The line was empty. 5 windows empty. I got pictures. I escalated it up to Apple corporate and stuff. Every single window empty. People standing. One lady standing around like this. One guy on his phone. One guy in the window. Another guy in the window. Empty. My order's ready. They wouldn't let me do it because it wasn't my time window. And I called before going there to see if I could go. I was like, listen, I know it's before time window. It says ready. Can I go? They said yes, no problem. And then the GM, when I got there, said no, you didn't talk to anybody here. Said that I was lying, and then made me wait 3 hours. Yeah. So I was, you know, as you can imagine, and I'm sure he would be happy. I was pretty fucking mad.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, no time, man, and you know, so yeah, I don't waste my time. I try not to. But yeah, you know, I think there's so many different paths to success. You know, like some people, it's like they have one thing that they always do. Like they play baseball from 3 years old, and then they become Derek Jeter, and they do baseball their whole life, and then they have a second, like, you know, a revolution in their life, right? Some people like me, maybe like you, right? Like I'm doing 100 different things to find what it is, and I don't care. And I've been judged for it. You know, more often than not, I've been judged negatively for it. Like, no, just go to school, and then go work on Wall Street. Like, just pick one. Like, and I get it, and I understand that works also, right? But it doesn't work for me. and that might not work for you. And there's different personalities, and you have to do what's right for you. You know, there's no one path to success.
No, I think you're right. I think that's great advice, because you do hear that a lot. You hear people wanting to put their own opinions into other people's lives and say, you should do this, you should do that. You know, parents are big with that, friends, all these people in our lives that want to tell us what to do. But my biggest thing is this: I look at somebody and I say, all right, are they trying? Are they actually putting effort into trying different things and trying to figure it out what they're good at, or are they not? And that's what I look at the most. Are you trying or are you not? And if the people that are trying and actually putting themselves out there, they're going to flourish at some point if they don't give up. It's the people that aren't and that are wasting their time. And that's funny that you say that, because as I get older, I kind of sort of, you know, we talked about earlier, like people that, you know, I'm not friends with a lot of people that I would used to be friends with. And there's many reasons for that. Personality reasons, trust reasons, you know, all these things. But for the most part, if I see that that person isn't going to benefit my life in a positive manner, and that could be a wide variety of things, but at the same time, it's like I want people that are going to motivate me, that I can talk to about progression in life on a daily basis. All my boys that are around me now, they're all trying to better their lives, whether it's investing in the market, whether it's thinking about what they want to do after this career. That's where we're at 30-something years old now. And those are the people I want to be surrounded by, not the people that are sitting there saying, oh, you know, I want, you know, I'm on these dating websites and I'm cheating on every girl that I'm around. And, you know, they're all off drinking and they're living in the past and all this. I don't want that around me.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
One day, you know?
That stuff just brings you nowhere. And I want to be around people that are going to motivate me and bring me to other places. And that's what I'm, you know, this whole thing and me putting my personality out on Facebook and not being afraid to speak the truth and this and that to what I believe in has brought so many people. I can't tell you how many messages I get all the time from people saying like, thank you and this and that and whatever, because it's bringing them to a place to see, like, you got to be confident in your own personality, confident in your own actions, and not be afraid of doing that. And I think that's the biggest problem is people are afraid, and they're afraid because they're afraid of what others are going to think of them. They're afraid of fear. They're afraid of failing, all these things. It's inevitable.
I feel like society, you know, I mean, it's a lot of it's like how you're raised, right? Like if your parents raise you like that, you know, or whoever raises you like that, right? Like to be judged and chastised for taking chances, you're gonna have a tough shot at life. You know what I mean? But the people that overcome that, even, man, I think they're unstoppable. You know, because then when you get into the world, you know, society does the same thing. Society wants to bring you down, tells you how to do things, what to do, how to think, how to feel. And it's crazy, man. Like, you know, I have friends that are the most conservative, my friends that are the most liberal. And as long as you don't hurt people, man, I just like just are you doing good things? You know what I mean? Like, are you moving forward in life? Then I'm a friend with you. You know?
Exactly.
And it's tough, man. It's tough because society wants to do it. My dad wants someone to do it. Everyone wants to tell you what to do. You know what I mean? But I've always been a little bit of a rebel in that way. Thank God, because I'd be miserable. You know what I mean? I'd be an unhappy person if I weren't. If I didn't just do
what are you really living for? You got to live for yourself. And as much as I'm trying to put out there that, you know, you want to love and care about other people and benefit their lives as well, you know, you got to live for yourself as well. And you got to balance all those things. And it seems like you've done that pretty well. It's ironic how you talk about childhood, because let's be realistic. If you weren't doing shit at 10 years old and your father probably wasn't having you do that, you really maybe wouldn't be this person you are now. So everything that we've done in our life, especially in our childhood, and I talk about this a lot on this show, really brings us to where we are now. And it's ironic because, you know, you speak about your father and how you guys kind of butt heads and this and that, whatever. But in reality, you know, I look at that with my family, my mother. You know, my mother has a similar personality to me, but I am who I am a lot because of that person. And even though you butt heads with those people, really, where would you be at in life if it wasn't for a lot of those things that you've learned through your childhood and that you've been in positions you've been put in and whatnot? Now, you don't necessarily need to grow up and be just like that person, but there's a lot of traits. It's funny that you say that, because I say this. I understand my genetic makeup. You know what I mean? I understand who my parents are. I understand the traits that they have. I understand the traits that I may have from them. And then I decide which traits I really want to flourish and which ones I don't want. And that's really where it's at. And it seems like you've done that pretty well. You've built up your business. You haven't, you're every day is going to be a struggle in this world, especially like you said, with people wanting to bring us down. And that's what's happening in society is that, you know, society has, in my eyes, is like so backwards. As we get older as adults, I feel like most of society is getting worse as they get older, because all these things that happen in their life that they wanted to happen, all the expectations that they have had in their life, all the things that they hoped for are dwindling down day by day. And that creates problems inside their brain, which as they get older, it's like they can't escape those thoughts.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you don't take those chances, you know? Like I know that I might lose. But if I lose, I'm okay with it because, you know, I've lost I don't know how many times, bro, countless. I've lost way more than I've won, right? But I'm cool with it because like you
Yeah.
said, turned me into who I am, you know? And it will, right? I'm not done. My evolution as a person isn't done. Yours isn't done as a person.
Right.
But the losses are great because you learn so much, man. Like I learned so much from that construction business. I learned so much from my fallout with my dad. I learned, learned so much growing up in the restaurant business, everything, man.
Yeah, likewise. I had to learn the same. I sit here and say that to myself, dude. I'm like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I went through a lot. My face has been out there. Everybody wants to talk shit about everybody. That's just life. Doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. Somebody will be there to talk shit about you. You got to pick yourself up. You got to keep pushing, block out all this shit. And that's that. Everybody's going to fall. I love when I hear people sit there and say that they love when they fail, because I love it at this point. I mean, do I want it to happen? No, but I don't sit there and dwell on it. I don't sit there and baby myself over it. I sit there and say, this is a time for me to understand it and learn from it. And that's going to bring me to the next scenario to where if the same thing happens, I've learned from this. I don't like to fail twice. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the same thing. Yeah.
At least not at the same thing. You know what I mean? I have no problem failing, but I don't want to, at this point, it's all about the learning process. If I'm failing, then I'm learning from that. And then hopefully that learning process will bring me to the next point where I won't fail again. And that's just really how I progress. You've done very well with that. And I think that, keeping this mentality, and this is why I bring people on this show like you, because I want others to really understand how you have to be in life to really get to where you want. And it's not going to always go the way you want it. You know what I mean?
No, man. I like, there's so many different cliche terms out there. I like a lot of them, but I like, like thinking big and taking small steps, like, all right, like where you got to go. All right, but start right here with step one, and you just got to say, and if you take a side step for a couple of days, sometimes a couple of years, you know what I mean? You got to sidestep to then sidestep back and go forward, whatever it is, you got to just do it,
Yeah.
I just thought about something, man. You said about that conversation we had back at bar. I mean, I remember talking to you at bar back in the day here and there when you were on detail out there. I don't remember that specific conversation, to be honest, but I remember, it made me think that my whole life, I've always been like very excited for people in my circles or people that I know's success and their endeavors. You know what I mean? Like when people, because I've always wanted to do it. I always did it myself. So I always like celebrated like people that I know, and you had a business, like I support that business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, cool. Like, if you sell vapes and I vape, I don't buy anybody else's vape. You know what I mean? And that's it. So I've always wanted to be like, oh, you like, that's awesome. Like, how do I support it? Like, that's great. I've always, even when at that time I was probably partying way too much, I still, like when I wasn't partying, I was still moving forward. I was actually still investing back then. I was still doing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I always saw you as doing that kind of a leader. You know what I mean? Like when people were afraid to get tatted on their necks and stuff was like, man, fuck it. He does what is right for him, And I always respected that,
I appreciate
not
that.
Not because it wasn't like, oh, I want to be covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to look like you, right? But it was like, I respect you for being you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and not being afraid to be you. That's hard, man. It's fucking
Very
hard.
And I appreciate that, man, because that's what I get a lot now. Now that I get older and I'm out of this environment, and even when I was in it, man, the reason why I survived was people like you, people that really looked at me and saw what I was doing for the reasons I was doing it. And I'm not this rebel guy that likes to go around and just start problems and create. I'm really a guy that kind of keeps to myself in reality. And I just want to live my life how I want to live it. I don't try to hurt nobody else. And I believe in being yourself and doing what you want. You only get one chance at this, and not letting other people really tell you or dictate how you should live your life, because at the end of the day, dude, those people really don't care. they're not there to tell you how to live life because they want you to flourish. They're telling you how to live life because they want to hold you back.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate that, man, because, you know, I had a lot of people come to me and tell me those things. And that's really why I live my life. I try to put this out there so that people can understand that you got to be yourself. You can't be afraid of doing what you want in your life. And if you are, you're really going to be an unhappy person.
Yeah.
So,
Plain and simple.
but listen, man, early morning podcast here. And we talk about time. It's funny because we tried to get together a couple other times. And this is what happens with people when you don't waste time, and you know yourself, and you know how you have to do things. And we finally got it done. Yes. And time is everything. And for people that don't know, listen, I'm up at about 5 a.m. every morning. That's how I do my thing. Usually at night, I'm shot by like 9 o'clock. I'm ready, like dozing out. But from 5 a.m. till that time, bro, I'm nonstop. And I have to progress, and I have to be doing something that's going to get me towards my goals. And today I said, you know what, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do a 6 a.m. podcast with Emilio, get this thing done because I like his story. I like what he's doing. And we make it happen. And this is what people do. When you want something, you don't give up on it. You know what I mean? We weren't able to connect the first couple of times, but we make it happen. And that's how you progress it. You just never forget about something. You get it done, and that's how it works. And then you move on and you keep it going. So it was great talking to you, my man. I'm very proud of you, where you're coming, where you came from, the things that you've done in your life, and how you haven't let those things, you know, really stop you from getting what you want, and you're continuing, and you always have continuous goals in your mind. And that's why I bring you on here. Your story hopefully motivates other people, and hopefully it could be anybody. It could be, there's a lot of business owners out here right now dealing with what you had to deal with, restaurant owners. And who knows, it's little things, bro, that you can say that you might not even think touch people. But that business owner could sit there and be like, holy shit, maybe maybe I need a smell in my restaurant. You know what I mean? And you just never know.
Yeah.
Never know. So here's the deal, my man. Listen, I'm going to let you go 7 a.m. today. Let you start your day, get your daughters situated, enjoy your life. And let's keep connecting. Let's try to do something talking about investing in stocks and stuff, because I think that's something that I think people can really benefit from if they know what they're doing, but a lot of people don't know what they're doing. So I'd love to do an episode with you down the road where we talk specifically on stocks and the market and investing and how to really do that if you're a beginner and stuff like that.
I'd love to, man. And I don't know if on this platform of Zoom you can do like multiple people, like a conference kind of thing. But I got a buddy of mine. He's a regular at my shop. He's young, but he full-time trades for a guy. He manages his portfolio. He uses Robinhood and a couple of different platforms to manage different types of assets. And he's young. I'm talking about, he's like 22, 23. And he loves sharing information. So I think even, you know, like my perspective might be different from his versus yours. And I think altogether you might kind of get a more complete picture of what your truth is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. Definitely connect with him, see what the deal is, see if he would be willing to come on, and we'll set that up because yeah, I'd love to. Even me, man, I'm learning as I go, and that's what I want. I want to talk to people that know more than me, and that's what everybody should want. You should all want that, and not be intimidated to do that. And that's what people are. They feel intimidated or insecure to speak to people that know more than them.
And people want to share. Most people want to share their information. You know, I try to reach out to people that own like 20 restaurants that are like partnering with Pharrell, and like I reach out to them. I'll just send a message like, "Yo, hey, you know what I mean? What'd you do this? Like, can I have a conversation with you? Can I buy you coffee?" You know what I mean? Most of the time the answer is no, but once in a while it's a yes, and then I learn, man. You know,
yeah,
I just
you never know. You never know, dude. You never know.
I reach out to Forbes, and I shoot big, bro. I shoot big. I don't care.
Got it.
Got it.
That's what it's all about. That's why I respect it, my man. And listen, episode 32 of the For the Love podcast. That's a wrap. You know where to find us on YouTube. For the Love website, forthelove.com. You can get apparel there and everything. Emilio, have a good day, my man. Best wishes to everything, your family and everything you're doing. I'm proud of you, my man, to see where you're progressing to in your mindset. We're going to stay in touch, and we're going to keep this thing going, see where life progresses us.
Absolutely, Jay. Thanks for having me on, brother. And keep inspiration, brother. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. All right, man. We'll talk. Be safe.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Thanks so much.
You too.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. You got a dream. You gotta protect it. You want something, go get it. Period.